After listening to hundreds of video game music, I can definitely say that there's too many good songs out there that just fly under the radar from their own respective communities, and Devil May Cry is not an exception to that. So that's why I'm here making this series of Devil May Cry music appreciation videos to spread more of its badass music while also learning who's the man or woman composing the music behind the scenes. Now, Devil May Cry 5 has 8 composers in total. 3 of them are in-house, and 5 of them are outsourced. The in-house composers are Kota Suzuki, Yoshiya Terayama, and Hiromitsu Maiba. The outsourced composers are Casey Edwards, Cody Matthew Johnson, Jeff Rona, Stephen McNair, and Joshua Graham. All of these guys compose amazing tracks for DMC5. But for now, I'm gonna focus on this specific composer. This man will be the big cheese of our video today. And that man is Yoshiya Terayama. Yoshiya's background for Capcom is quite interesting. I actually thought he was very brand new to the company, but he's actually been around with Capcom for probably like 7 to 8 years now. And around those years, he has created tons of tracks ranging from Monster Hunter XX, The Great Ace Attorney 2, Dragon's Dogma Online, Mega Man, DMC5, and hell, he's the main composer for Street Fighter 6 now. How the hell did I not know about this guy? Now if you're wondering if this guy has composed other stuff outside of Capcom, unfortunately I couldn't find anything, so we'll just stick to his Capcom works. I'll dive deeper into some of the tracks he has composed for these games, but for now, let's dive into his works in DMC5. Let's start on my favorite songs that Yoshiya has created. All of these have metal, gent, and hard rock elements to it, mixed in with Yoshiya's very fun use of electronics and synths. Now most of these are boss battle themes, but there's one track in here that is quite different from the rest of the songs. Check this out. All of these tracks have a huge emphasis on heavy rhythm guitars going nuts on the palm-muted riffs and chugs, while a synth keyboard takes on the lead melody to bring more catchiness to the song. That's Yoshiya's defining traits when it comes to his heavier tracks, and I f***ing love it. Funnily enough, this kind of composition is very similar to his works in Mega Man. Check this one out. Alright, Here's some cool facts about some of these tracks. Yoshiya also did a cool leitmotif for Voltic Black Knight and Abyssal Chaos. Check this out. Underneath all that chaotic metal guitar riffs and synth madness, there's actually a beautiful orchestra playing behind it. Now, we really don't know what this actually symbolizes because there's not much character for Cavaliere Angelo to dissect, aside from being a Nero Angelo prototype that needs a host to work. So probably this is just to give the track some extra oomph. But if you have your own analysis on this one, let me know in the comments. Now for Abyssal Chaos and Blazing Muscle, they sound very reminiscent to Metal Gear Rising's Rules of Nature and Collective Consciousness. Check this out. Now, my musical knowledge is still very bare bones, but the reason why these two sounds very familiar most likely stems from having very same-ish tempo, but also having the same industrial electronic elements to it. I could be wrong though, so feel free to correct me on the comments. Now let's move on to Yoshiya's very experimental track, Lunatic Ray. Now for Lunatic Ray, it's kinda a blend between electronic, orchestral, and hard rock. It's a very interesting mix of genres because I never see electronic and orchestral mash well together aside from a few stuff I've heard. So good job for Yoshiya on pulling this one off. The robotic, operatic vocals, and that very bouncy electronic arpeggios? Not sure what to call that, but this is the one I'm talking about. but those two make this song stand out even more in my opinion.
Because if it wasn't for those two, I definitely would be less impressed for this boss battle theme.
Now this track sounds kinda similar to Astral Chain's Rebellion and Salvation OST. Both have the same orchestra and electronic fusion with the operatic vocals on the back. So yeah, both are similar, so check this one out. This is the only classic heavy metal track in the entire DMC5 OST, and it's only used as a background music during Dante's office cutscene. I wish it was a full song, but it is what it is. This definitely sounds like something you would hear in Guilty Gear Xrd, and I love it. Now that you've heard some of his heavier and experimental tracks, what else can he do? Well, check this one out. Heavy percussion, very eerie violins and brass, to the point it sounds like it belongs into a horror game like Resident Evil. It's very creepy and sinister sounding, especially when you deal enough damage to Malphas. The song starts to get more chaotic. Since I said this sounds like something from Resident Evil, the track Descent into the Village from Resident Evil Village sounds very similar to this one. Check this out. Hey now, we're not done yet with his orchestral stuff. He can also pull off a much slower tempo and emotional orchestral piece. This one plays when Lady and Trish tries to comfort a confused Nero after knowing his father is Virgil. Check this out. Speaking of slower tempos, surprisingly enough, he also created the main menu theme and Divinity statue theme for DMC5. You know what's crazy? That intro sounds very reminiscent to Capcom's SNES Jingle sound that always play when their logo shows up. Both of these tracks sound very relaxing and makes you feel you're at a very safe place. Especially the Divinity statue theme. It's pretty much just like the previous themes, where they really sound like you're in a safe place, very comforting, kinda like in a tranquil state, I don't know what you call it. Well, maybe except for DMC1's Divinity statue theme, because I find that one creepy instead of relaxing. Since this one pretty much just sounds the same to the previous Divinity statue themes, it's a no-brainer that it sounds similar to Resident Evil's Save Room OSTs. Alright, let's move into Yoshiya's bread and butter, funk and groove. All of them just makes you want to bop your head and dance, especially Spitting Fool and Dante's dance taunt. Oh yeah, I did said that this was Yoshiya's bread and butter, right? Well, pretty much this is like 80% of what his discography sounds like. So check this out. I forgot to mention, this dude is the bassist for Capcom's in-house music remix team called Cap Jams. No wonder this dude knows how to get funky. Speaking of remixes, Yoshiya also remixed some existing tracks like Double Trigger. He made a remix of it that plays during Mission 1's first cutscene. Here Goes is a remix of the duel and Subhuman, and this one plays during the post-credit scene where Dante does the iconic jackpot. We pretty much checked out all of his tracks in DMC5. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up. Next video will be about the Pachinko OSTs, specifically DMC, Cross X, Last Judgment, whatchamacallit. And after that, we'll slowly check out the different composers for DMC5. I'll also check out DMC4, DMC3, DMC2, and DMC1. And even the more obscure stuff like CR DMC4. I'll cover every DMC composer that exists. I'll try my best. Oh, and I'll still do DMC mod bundles and mod showcases, so don't worry about that. And I'll see y'all next time.